In this video, I'm going to be looking at another battle from this collection from Infidel, the supremacy of cavalry in the Crusader era 11th and 12th centuries. So this time I'm looking at the next battle chronologically. This is Ascalon in southern Palestine, August of 1099. And if I understand everything correctly, what had happened is the Crusaders had recently recaptured Jerusalem, and they were having infighting there of one sort or another about how to manage the city. And in the meantime, they decided to try to intercept the Egyptian forces that had come up to Ascalon that maybe would threaten Jerusalem. So they sallied forth and out to the coast, to the edge of the Mediterranean, and came up upon a Fatimid Egyptian army that had been camping outside of the city gates of Ascalon, which they held. And what we have here is basically the Crusaders initiated the attack, I think. Although in this game, the first activation is rolled for on a die roll, so that's an interesting way to handle it. And the lower part of the map has the very outskirts of the fortified, the walled city of Ascalon. But the gates were shut so that the Fatimids were not ever going to be able to get inside if they had to retreat for some reason, in this game anyway. So a lot of the Fatimid units start out encamped, which means you can't be activating them until they get awoken. Others start out disordered, and so it's going to take a little bit of effort to get them into a condition to actually fight. So should be a very interesting battle. The flight point level is fairly low. The Crusaders need 20 flight points to flee the battlefield. The Fatimid army has a flight level a little bit higher of 25, but they're going to need it. So we'll take a look at how this battle played out, and I'll have some slides of my game as we go down to the map. So this opening picture shows the setup on August 12th of 1099 AD. And the Crusaders basically are on the attack this time against the Fatimids in the vicinity of Ascalon. And the Fatimid Egyptian army is led by Al-Afdal. I believe the title is Vizier. And he's encamped there with his cavalry. And the front positions are manned by Sudanese archers with flails. And then you also see some Armenian archers and some Seljuk and Egyptian pike infantry. But then there's a number of Bedouin medium cav on the right flank, as well as Berber medium cavalry and Mamluk cavalry encamped in various states of preparedness and wakefulness. So they have a little bit of a disadvantage in that they're not activated yet. And it's going to take a number of activations to get them in full fighting condition. And as I mentioned before, the gates of the city are locked, so nobody's going to be able to enter the city from either side, one way or another. But Al-Afdal is the overall commander of the Fatimid army, and the Crusaders do not have an overall commander. They have three formations here, and they really weren't organized enough to have a agreement on an overall commander. But as shown in the picture, the Crusaders are in the blue, and the right flank of the Crusaders is led by Ramon, the Count of Toulouse, and he is supported by Aquitaine men. Then the center is held by Robert of Normandy, and he has Norman and Flemish troops. And then the left flank is carried by Godfrey and the Lorraine and Burgundian forces. So that's how this battle is going to shape up. And as I said before, a die roll is needed to see who gets to go first. And this time it turned out to be the Crusaders having the jump with the first free activation. So what I did is activated Ramon of Toulouse, and the Aquitaine forces start marching toward the Egyptian army on the Crusaders' right flank. And then I got continuation, and Robert of Normandy was able to maintain this attack with the Norman and Flemish troops on the center. But then the Fatimid army gets to activate, so the Sudanese and Armenian archers advance forward and let the arrows fly against these the attacking Crusaders. And you can see in this next picture here what is happening. With these flails, they're able to attack, and they have had some effect. A couple of the Crusaders' pikesmen are disordered, and so that is a good start for the Sudanese units here. This next picture is showing the flank. I believe this is the left flank of the Crusaders, and you have Godfrey leading that force, and he has Burgundian and Lorraine troops. And the archers' advance has no effect this time, but the pikes and the knights do manage to disorder some units. And then later on, with a continuation, they attack again and end up eliminating a disordered Armenian unit. So that's a good effect for the Crusaders. This next picture shows a little bit of an overview. You see Ramon of Toulouse with the Aquitaine and Provençal men, and they're into it. And you've got one knight that has kind of penetrated in between the two parts of the line, and he is set to get flanked. I think that might be a Seljuk pikesman that is ready to hit him in the flank, so that's not good. And then you also see Robert of Normandy and the Flemish and Norman forces that they're pressing into the Fatimid position. Now, this next picture is showing some more of the action, and at this point, the Fatimid army has 6 flight points. The Crusaders have 4. And what we see here is the Egyptians are attacking, and you've got these 2 pikemen units attacking this knight, and one of them is hitting from the flank. So you have a front flank attack, and the die roll couldn't have gone worse, I don't think, for the Seljuk and Egyptian pikemen, and they both end up attacker disordered. You can see I flipped those counters there. That was an unfortunate result because they had a nice shot at this knight. This next picture just shows an overview of what I have in the plain of Ashdod. This is where this battle is really taking place. Ascalon is just on the south part below the picture, just off the picture. But you have some attacks going on, and Robert of Normandy has some crossbows that are able to disorder some Sudanese units, but Robert's unit ends up getting disordered too. And then Ramon of Toulouse gets activated, and he drives some of the Egyptians back, but the flight levels at this point are stuck at the Fatimid army with 7, the Crusaders with 5. This next picture is showing Robert of Normandy, who is holding the center for the Crusaders, and you see how they've penetrated the line here with some knights and some pikemen, but they have taken some damage. They have a couple of disordered units there, but they have some of the Sudanese units are also disordered, as well as some of the Armenian units. Unfortunately for the Fatimids, they end up taking some losses, and they're now up to 10 flight points. I believe they have 25 in this game. The Crusaders have only 5 flight points at this time. This next picture is showing the Flemish knights getting hit by some Egyptian and Seljuk pikemen. What has happened is that the Berber medium cavalry that were in the rear area have finally been activated. It takes a number of efforts to do this, and you can see at the very bottom of this page there are 2 Berber cavalry units. I believe they're medium cavalry. They're disordered because they just woke up and they really haven't got their act together yet, but they are trying to get into the fray. So we'll see if that works out for the Fatimid player. You see the picture I have circled there, this Flemish knight unit. He's disordered, and now he's got a pike hitting from the front and a Egyptian pikeman hitting in his flank. And he's really got nowhere to go, and he ended up getting eliminated. And that's a 3 flight point unit. So that was a really fortunate for the Fatimid. This next picture shows Godfrey's battle going into combat with the Bedouin cavalry. In the meantime, Robert of Normandy attacked the center and was able to retire or eliminate some more units. So that puts the flight level at the Fatimid are up to 13, and the Crusaders have 8 flight points. And then what we see here is a continuation with Godfrey attacking the cavalry, and they managed to disorder some units and kind of puncture a hole in this area. You can see they've taken a little bit of disarray themselves, but there's a big gap in there that Godfrey's men are exploiting with their pike. This next picture is showing the center that was held by Robert of Normandy, and at this point the Fatimid have 11 flight points and the Crusaders have 8, I believe, and there's some action here in the center. You can see both sides are taking some disruptions, but the Sudanese and Armenian and Egyptian forces here with the Fatimid army have some disruptions, and although one of the Flemish pikemen also does, but I would say in the center, Robert of Normandy has a fairly good position here in being able to attack that Egyptian pikeman with some Norman knights as well as Robert of Normandy hitting him in the flank. So I don't think that's going to work out well for that Egyptian unit. This next picture shows the Crusader right flank with Ramon of Toulouse. And you see he's done fairly well at poking a hole through here. However, his knights are disordered, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get these men back in order so that they're able to be less at risk and more ready to take the initiative again. This next picture shows Robert of Normandy in the center again, and you can see how things have gone for him. He's really got his act together and wiped out a bunch of Fatimid units. And as the Fatimid player, I had to use my free activation to get some of my units rallied and recovered at the standards because my flight level is starting to get high. And so the Crusaders, though, were able to eventually activate Robert of Normandy here in the center and basically took out some units which really challenged the Sudanese. And when they ended up having to roll for their flight level, they failed their die roll. So this last picture shows kind of what the battlefield looked like at the very end when the Fatimid army fled. And so you can see at the very lower part of the picture is the outskirts of Ascalon. But remember, those gates are closed. Nobody's getting inside. So these guys are going to have to run away. But they're not going to be able to run into the city, I don't think. And you can see how the Crusaders, all 3 sections of their army are really posing some severe hurt onto the Fatimids. The Fatimids are really falling apart. So this is historically how this battle went. The Crusaders did win. So we're right on track here. So thank you for watching this video. And if you'd like to see more from this series, the Men of Iron series, please stay tuned to my channel. Have a great day.